All right, so while all of this is going on with the coronavirus, there's clearly developments in the Middle East as well. Do you support some kind of oil dumping investigation that is being taken against the Saudis and Russians? Some senators that I've spoken with, Mr. Secretary, as you know, they've called for that.
Sure, I've seen the comments and I've seen the calls for that. I'm not privy to exactly what they would like to see done. I'll leave that to my colleagues at the Department of Justice. Dumping cases are something that are going to make its way through the court system, either in the domestic court system or the international court system. But I'll leave that to my colleagues at the U.S. Department of Justice to sort out.
And Mr. Secretary, just two more questions as it relates to that. There has also been reports that some Energy Department officials want Saudi Arabia to quit OPEC and forge an alliance with the United States. They argued that that would stabilize oil prices. Is that something, sir, that you'd like to see happen?
There are many, many ideas that have floated around the policy space. That is one of them. I don't know that that's going to be presented in any formal way. As part of the public policy process, if you will, our interagency partners often get together and talk about a number of different items. But we've made no decisions on this. I'll work closely with Secretary of State Pompeo and others. At some point, we'll engage in a diplomatic effort, if you will, down the road. But no decisions have been made on anything of that nature.
And just one final question for you, Secretary Brouillette. As it relates to the Saudis and the Russians, have you talked to your Saudi counterpart, and what have you been doing to navigate this dispute between the Saudis and the Russians?
Well, we have had conversations as we normally do. I have not had a conversation with Prince Abdulaziz about any conversations that he may have had with the Russians. It's not appropriate for us to do that. I will leave that to our State Department colleagues as well as to the President of the United States and others at their level. But we will continue the routine conversations that we have from time to time.
And I'm told we have a couple more minutes. So I want to bring it back to Capitol Hill, because all around the country, people who work in refineries, they are incredibly anxious as it relates to the economic impacts and the economic inaction coming from policymakers. So just to reiterate here, if you are working in a refinery or you work in the energy sector, what is your message to those workers who are having to stay at home today and stare at the news and try to figure out if they're going to be able to economically be viable in 3 months?
Well, first and foremost, I would tell the workers in any refinery to follow the CDC guidelines, follow your corporate guidelines as well. Make sure that the health and welfare of the workers is first and foremost in everyone's mind. We have to work very aggressively to slow the spread of this coronavirus. That is first and foremost. Beyond that, I think it's important for Congress to get together today and find some agreement, some bipartisan agreement on this important package to provide the liquidity not only to industries that are service-related, but the industries that are providing the energy, which underpins so much of the economy and will underpin so much of our economic recovery.